this video, we're going to answer the question, what is the local real estate market like in La Mesa? Should I buy or should I wait? We're going to answer that right now. So in this video, I want to get specific on what's going on with the local market in La Mesa, California. I've had multiple messages about this and it's just easier to answer that right in a video. So overall, let's take the country as a whole and kind of document what's going on with the local housing market. A lot of optimism. Yes, there are going to be decreases. We're actually already seeing that in the La Mesa marketplace. I'll show you those numbers right now. But the overall consensus is the market will stay healthy, predominantly for two reasons. One, interest rates are already falling and they're hovering closer and closer to 6%. As they continue to fall, that will help the housing market. Second thing, inventory is still super low. And so for that reason, it's still going to keep prices fairly competitive, if not flatlined, maybe even increase in certain marketplaces. And La Mesa might happen to be one of those. We'll still have to see, but let's take a look at the numbers. So specifically, La Mesa obviously makes up two different zip codes, 91941 and 91942. If we get into the specifics, you'll see, let's concentrate on 91942 first. You will see that there's actually been a drop between last year at this time and right now based on price, sold price of property. So what does that mean for a home buyer? Does that mean it's a good time to buy? Well, let's put it this way. If you can have it in your budget and you can afford a mortgage payment and the property that fits your needs is on the market, it's probably a good time to buy. We don't see the market really shifting that much more. We've already had some bank collapses and things of that nature as of airing of this video, but clearly the federal government has stepped in and said, hey, you know what? We're going to shore this up. That actually improved the marketplace. It actually forced mortgage rates to even drop further. So the specifics with regards to La Mesa, California on going to 91942, you can see specifically that overall we have already dropped a total of 8%. Now, that's really not a whole lot. You can see that 91942 was impacted a little bit differently than 91941. That has a couple different factors. We'll get into the details. 91942 has a predominance of more condominiums, multifamily residences, 2 to 4 units, as well as single family homes that price range is under $1 million. That is super specific because that becomes affordability index in that price range. And so we saw that that market was impacted more as interest rates rose, which forced sellers to drop their property prices further than expected. So that almost 9%, 8.7% to be exact, is just a reflection of that number of what the volatility of the market did in that time frame. Now, if we shift over to 91941, because that marketplace is the predominance of higher end homes, it encompasses obviously most of Mount Helix in that zip code as well, and therefore that market wasn't impacted as greatly. Couple reasons why. One, the $1 million and up wasn't impacted from a price perspective because the affordability for those people, when rates happen to go ahead and shift, the actual jumbo market as compared to government subsidized loans was still lower at that time. So people could still get mortgage rates hovering around 5% at the time that volatility was taking place for other markets. But specifically, there's still so low inventory that it's still somewhat competitive, especially when a good property comes on the market. Now, you have to realize that the community of Mount Helix is somewhat unique. It has less than a 3% turnover ratio, meaning that less than 3% of the residents of Mount Helix sell their home year over year. That's not a lot of homes coming on the market. On top of that, of those, some of those homes in that marketplace, over 30% are sold off market. They're never even on the internet. So no one would know. You'd actually have to hire a specialist to see what's going on with those things. And so you really need to consult with someone that knows that Mount Helix market, specifically in La Mesa, so that you can understand where those opportunities might exist. But 91941 hasn't been impacted as great. You're seeing only about a 2.3% drop, less than 3% overall, year over year, based on those numbers of the selling prices of the property. So they're holding fairly flat for all intents and purposes based on year over year numbers. Now, some of those things will adjust. We've had some sales in the marketplace that will even push those numbers up a little bit higher. But my advice to you, if you're looking to rent or buy, I would say that rents are going to continually go up at this point. Cost of goods across the board has all gone up. Landscaping, utilities, utilities, everything that a property owner has to have has gone up. So therefore those fees are going to be passed on to the tenant. So if you're a tenant and you're thinking about purchasing a property, now might be an opportunistic time, because if you wait, the first thing that is going to happen, I will tell you, the cost of property is going to go up. Appreciation will happen over time. There's the other thing that just happened, okay? I had a client that actually a year ago only put 3% down on a property. Now you might say to yourself, well, that's so little money. Why would you do that? Their payment's going to be extremely high. It was higher than the rent was going to be for the residents in La Mesa, but by the time they got to tax deductions and everything else, they were also allowed to refinance shortly thereafter. It dropped their payment. So now they're in a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Their price will never change for their living quarters, and they have a fixed rate payment for the next 30 years. For them, it was cheaper to purchase and go ahead and live in that, and now they have a place to call home. So if you have any questions specifically with regards to the La Mesa market and a strategy coming up to that, I'm going to tell you, we have to sit down and take a look at it. But more often than not, there is more advantages to go ahead and purchase than it is to wait on the sideline and watch interest rates fluctuate, because what we are seeing is an influx of cash into our marketplace from corporate buyers. What do I mean by that? 91941 and 91942 have a predominance of corporate owners or even Airbnbs, meaning that the homeowners aren't actually living in the property at all. And those are corporate owners that are coming in and they have an influx of cash and they're purchasing these homes. They don't really look at the price points as much because they're in it for the long term. And that's really what you have to be in as a home buyer, especially in this marketplace, especially in La Mesa. It's a very desirable area. We're only about 15 miles east of downtown San Diego. So it's a unique community that people flock to because you're just outside the city limits, but still close enough to be convenient to get to the beach, to get to downtown, or things of that nature. So if you're thinking about waiting, if it's in your budget, I would say that the market statistics show there's an opportune time to buy right now in La Mesa, California. If you have any questions or you want to book a strategy session with me personally, I have a link right down below. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to sit down with you for 15 minutes and just kind of go over and see if La Mesa is a good fit for you. If not, and now's not the right time, let's come up with a strategy plan and see where it fits in your near future. I'm Steven Rotsart. Follow me on social. Hey, like and subscribe if this was any value to you, and I appreciate it.